And so here we are, game one. We're loaded in to Bell, Sheer, and yeah, a nice little bit of PVZ coming up. Let me get straight into this and introduce the two players. Up in the top left position, we have got the red Protoss player from SK Gaming. It's MC. And his opponent, spawning down in the bottom right, the blue Zerg player from Team Western Wolves, Sortof.
Indeed, Metal. So PVZ to start the day off with. Let's get into real quickly as the early game unfolds here to see how did these players end up in this situation. How did they get into the Challenger League here? Well, let's talk about Sortof first. Sortof had a really difficult group in Premier League. He was in Group H, which was arguably, well, not the hardest group, but definitely a very hard group. He was in Group H with Feast, MMA, Mana, and himself. And unfortunately, Sortof was not able to win versus Feast, and he wasn't able to win against MMA either. So he finished 4th in his group, and that's why he is currently in the Challenger League here. MC, on the other side of the map, has taken a whole different approach, and he got into the Challenger League by winning the qualifier. I believe it was the 3rd?
It was the 3rd, if I recall correctly, but that was a really tough qualifier there. So, anyway,
the second one, actually.
Was it the second? Okay, second one, MC got through. But of course, some of you might be wondering, why was MC in here? And for those of you who don't know, that if you changed region, you had to go through Challenger. You couldn't go straight into Premier. And that may be why MC is someone that you're thinking, oh, I'm surprised he didn't make it through. So, in terms of this game and what's likely to be going on, we're probably going to be getting, well, in a best of 3. Do you reckon this is going to be a 2-0, a 2-1? What are your predictions, Lurlian?
Well, looking at the win ratios for both players that they have in this matchup, MC is currently at a 63% win rate versus Zerg, which is really good. Whereas Sortof has a pretty good win rate himself. He's got 58% win rate versus Protoss. So going by the win rates, MC should, technically take it. But of course, these two players are both really, really good in MC, and you can never count Sortof out. He's such an up-and-comer player. I don't really think we can count him out at all. I think it's going to be a 2-1 for either player. Probably gonna have to go for MC, considering the experience he has in Codes and all the practice that he's had in Korea.
Yeah, and he's also been around ESL loads lately. He's been at a lot of the Premier Division events and things like that, so he's been seeing people play. He's got quite comfortable with the environment. I'm not quite sure where he's actually playing these games from and where he's staying at the moment, but as we can see, in terms of strategy being employed by these two, currently we've got a spawning pool opening from Sortof, which is really, really safe. Meanwhile, MC, he's just gone for a gate cybercore into a nexus, so nothing too risky occurring there. Just ultimately, both these two wanting to macro up. The mothership core will be about to reach the field, and the gas just starting to trickling for Sortof.
Yeah, not really a map that I like to forge expand on either, because that gap at your natural is so wide, it makes it difficult to wall off. I prefer opening Mothership Core. As we see, the Mothership Core is going to be DPSing away at this Zergling. The Zergling does manage to get up the ramp and is going to get into the main, and we'll be able to see the Chrono Boost going down on the Cybernetics Core, which is a little bit out of the ordinary. That is something that Sortof is going to get information on, and he also sees the second gas has started mining, which is pretty much expected.
Yeah, it's once you see the second gas mining, you see the chrono boost going off. That's the important bit of scouting information you need. Sortof also identified that the Nexus was coming down. The only thing that he didn't actually manage to see straight away was that there is a 4th gateway. It's just out of view, but the Overlord moving across, really smart move. He will now identify that. He knows that there's these 4 gates here. Chrono boost coming down on the warp gate tech. This is all of the information that Sortof needs early game in order to prepare for what's likely to be a nice little bit of 2 base pressure.
Yeah, this is going to be the 4-gate, a super early 4-gate. That's why we saw the Chrono Boost go down on the Cybernetics Core. This is a build that Naniwa actually used in Codes and GSL a long time ago. I believe he was the first player to actually use this build, so pretty cool to see MC use it here. But he's going to put up a Stargate behind this, so this is not going to be the traditional push that we've seen Naniwa do versus Domre Gu in Codes such a long time ago. It would be weird to do in this position, because Sortof still does not have a third base. He's going to be playing double gas off of 2 base, and will be starting double evolution chamber before he goes and gets that 3rd, because of course he saw those 4 gateways.
Yeah, it's Well, I think it's actually a really good move, actually, by Sortof not trying to expand too early on, because he knows, and he knew really early on from that Zergling scout, that there was going to be some quite heavy pressure coming in. Even if it was just the four gates with the Mothership Core, it would have been quite a bit. We do have an Overlord sacrificing itself into the main base. Needs to get over far enough, though, to spot that Stargate. It's absolutely essential that Sortof sees that coming, but a Stalker is warping in. It's going to try and deny this scout. This is a big, big, important moment for Sortof. He needs to see that Stargate. I think he should be able to do so.
Oh, it's going to be really close. The Overlord turns to the right, and it's not going to see the Stargate. That is good news for MC. He's going to have the element of surprise on his side. What is he going to make out of the Stargate, though? There he goes. He just now starts a Phoenix, but he's currently supply blocked, making 3 pylons at once. Oops, that's a bit of a mistake. He's also getting a Forge. So this is not going to be the 4-gate pressure that we were all expecting because of the fact that MC saw there's no third base down. I have nothing to pressure on.
Yeah, he's just sitting back, macroing up quite nicely, getting some Phoenix out, and after the hallucinated Phoenix has come across, following up with real Phoenix can sometimes throw a Zerg player slightly off guard and not trigger reaction, but it looks like this Phoenix is going to reveal itself by taking the Overlord at the natural base. That's going to get taken out quite quickly, will be a little bit frustrating for Sortof, and it will supply block him because he is yet to start any additional Overlords in production, which is something that you really want to do. You want to avoid those early supply blocks, especially if you are going for quite aggressive style off of 2 bases. You need to be hitting all of those timings. 1-1 upgrades are coming down as well for Sortof, nearly completed. Meanwhile, we see that for MC, he's got his 1-1, but it's quite a long way behind, but does have the benefit of chrono boosts if needed.
You're right. He's a little bit behind on upgrades, but that's all right. He has the second Forge. That was a reactionary second Forge. He saw the double evolution gem. He was like, okay, you're going double upgrades. I'm going to be going double upgrades. Sort of currently a little bit on tilt. It looks like he's been supply blocked for so long now, Mattles. That was at least 30 or 40 seconds he spent supply block there. That's not a good way to spend your mid game in a supply block. He does have the third base now up. He's getting spore crawlers everywhere because he saw the Phoenix. He's going to defend with spores until he is able to get anything out. He does have the infestation pit finished right now. No pathogen glands on the way yet. Are we going to see infestors?
Well, we may do. We've got the 2-2 upgrades already getting started down. Meanwhile, these Phoenix actually doing quite a nice job on the Queen at the third. There is no Spore Crawler here, so that Queen will be going down, hurting Sortof's production. And Sortof really needs all of the lava he can get at the moment because he's down in supply, only by 11. Worker count-wise, he could be doing a little bit better as well. Only at 56 to the 52 probes, but that's all due to the delayed third base that we saw. Meanwhile, MC already starting his third. He's not far behind, but a lot of speedlings moving across the map at the moment, Lurlian. These could be putting on a nice little bit of pressure, but with so many sentries and zealots, I don't think it's going to be too successful.
No, it's not. Those zealots have +1 finished up. There's a zealot in hold position at the gateways, so not going to happen there. The run-by doesn't do anything. 2 force fields go down by MC, but he only kills 1 Ling with it. Probably not worth it. Another scouting overlord is going to come into the main base. MC hasn't really chosen a follow attack yet. He got the robotics on the way, so we're undoubtedly going to see Colossi in just a little bit. And the Overseer might be able to see the building robotics facility if it goes in a little bit more. And yes, it does see that the Twilight Council is researching something, and he sees the robotics facility going down. So sort of has a really good grasp on what his opponent is doing, but he still doesn't have pathogen glands, does he? He's making infestors without pathogen glands. Wow, that's not something that I've seen at all.
No, it was... Actually, no, I saw that this morning, actually, in the GSL round of 4, of course. Saw pathogen glands get started late and actually some infestors cancelled before getting restarted. So
yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah, that was fun, but MC, he's busy getting down his Templar Archives, just finishing up more gateways. He's got 3-3 coming down, 2-2 coming down. Meanwhile, 2-2 just about to finish up for Sortof, as well as Adrenal Glands just getting started, and he's going for that quick Ultralisk play while trying to secure a 4th. But these Phoenix are going to get a fantastic scout out on the 4th base. Meanwhile, MC's 3rd already up and running quite nicely. Worker count is 67 drones to 61 probes. Sort of not getting that economical lead he really would want at this stage of the game.
Oh, Sortof is making such a big power play right now. If he doesn't get his Ultralisk out, he's gonna die, man. He's got 3 infestors out on the field and Zerglings. That's it. Infestors, Queens, and Zerglings. That's all he has. And MC, he's got an Archon in here, and he's got a really powerful army. And he scouts the Zerglings with his Phoenix. The Zerglings are trying to intercept the army here, but there is an Archon there, and the Archon with +2 attack is going to do a lot of damage. The Zerglings looking to counterattack into the 3rd base, but there are 3 cannons. Zealots being warped in defensively, and of course that 4th base has to be cancelled.
Well, we've got a nice little Zergling run by coming to the third of MC. Some Zerglings just staying out of range of those 3 cannons. Plus 2 ground armor is about to finish up for MC. That would level out the upgrades, making this push so much more powerful that's heading towards that third. It's already forced to cancel at the fourth. Meanwhile, some Speedlings have managed to make their way into the natural base, and also some Speedlings getting into the main. This is a massive run by into the natural base here, Lurlian. Just so many units, a lot of Zealots being warped in, but MC at the same time, he's pushing in towards the third of Sortof, and he is doing a considerable amount of damage here and will get that hatchery.
It's definitely going to get the third, but has MC taken too much damage back at home? 16 workers killed by Sortof, 19 by MC, so worker count, they are quite equal to each other. Some Ultralisks pop out at the third base of Sortof, but they get surrounded and killed off instantly by the Zealots and the Archons. More Ultralisks have popped out at the natural, though. That's where Sortof now has to make a stand. He's down in supply. No Nexi were killed, so MC is still on his 3-base economy. He's up in workers even, and he is still continuing his upgrades. 3-3 is on the way, and he's getting a Dark Shrine. Immortals now coming out on the field to counter the Ultralisks, and Sortof, man, being on 2 in the late game, he's just not gonna have any gas to make any more Ultralisks or Vipers that he so desperately needs.
Yeah, that's the big problem for him, is that gas income. And of course, if we take a look, MC, while he did lose quite a few probes, he's actually ahead in the worker count, 59 to 52. Plus, he's got that third up. That gives him an extra 2 gas geysers. His income is looking absolutely spectacular at the moment, above sort of in both the mineral and gas. And the longer this game goes on, the more that'll favor MC. With the supply advantage, with the Immortals coming out, as long as he can really deal with the army that Sortof's got standing at the moment, he should be fine. 3-3 upgrades for both of these 2 players are going to be finishing up at fairly similar times. MC will get +3 ground weapons fractionally sooner. Chitinous plating also only just now getting started for those ultras. That's an upgrade that Sortof could really have done with for this push. Sortof
is now coming in here, but the 2 Immortals have popped out of their robo, so they're going to be doing a lot of damage against the Ultralisks. At the same time, the Phoenix are still alive. They could lift up a lot of the Infestors. Ooh, they do get bungled. They do not really get a lot of lifts, but the army of MC is just seems to be so much bigger. The Zealots have such good upgrades. The Immortals now getting the damage done on the Ultralisks, and the Zealots are just tanking away at the damage. A few of the Infestors and Queens were lifted in the air by the Phoenix, and MC is just showing us that he has a big supply lead. He was just able to basically A-move against that army. The Immortals still alive in the back with a lot of kills.
He did, sort of. He got some great transfuses off on that first Ultra, but it just wasn't enough for the sheer amount of damage coming out from MC's army. He was in a really commanding spot. He still is in a great position, sort of desperately trying to get out some more Ultralisks. He will have Chitinous plating done momentarily. Does have the 3-3 upgrades, but 3-3 is about to finish up for MC as well. That's an advantage that obviously will go neither way. Now, more gateways coming down for MC. He's still far ahead in terms of the worker count. 67 probes to 49 drones. A massive lead for MC in supply economy, and there's no real advantage at the moment for Sortof. And with that 4th base being forced to cancel by just some Zealots, MC is really in a nice spot this game.
Yeah, MC is in a fantastic position. He's going to try to take a 4th right now. There is a Zergling trying to deny that, and this pylon might actually be in the way of his 4th base. Yeah, it is. So he goes ahead and cancels that pylon and drops down the Nexus. And sort of, what can he really do? Like we pointed out before, he has no gas. He's been on 4 gases for pretty much this entire game. The gases in his main are going to start to run low on gas. He doesn't have a fourth base. He doesn't have a 3rd base. And MC just has so much more income. The army supply is currently 115 for MC and 94 for Sortof.
And here comes a big engagement in the center, and actually Sortof engaging this force very nicely. Takes out the 2 Immortals, but 4 more come from behind. Most of the Zealots were taken out there. Good attack angles overall for the Zerg player. MC actually losing a lot of supply there, but sort of it comes down to the same problem. He's been so low on his income compared to MC for a while that actually the Protoss player can afford to have a couple of bad engagements. But if he keeps this up, obviously Sortof can claw his way back into this game, but we see the Zealots are now starting to move forward. Those Ultras dealing a nice amount of damage. The Immortals at the back need to do so much, but with no support, they are just going to get taken out. A mass recall goes down, and MC forced to retreat and now down in supply.
Wow, MC getting caught there in the middle by the Zerglings surrounding all his Archons and the few sentries that he had left alive. Suddenly he's in some trouble. He's down in supply right now to Sortof. He didn't have the army composition that he really needed. He lacked the Colossi support in there. He's got so many Immortals. Look at that. He's got 8 Immortals out on the field, but you really need to have either Storm or a few Colossi in there to support your army to deal with the Zerglings. And he had nothing to do with the Zerglings because his Archons got surrounded and killed in the middle of the map by the Ultras. And suddenly This game is
Lurlian,
quite
there's
even.
some DTs coming into the third base. They're going to be able to snipe that off. This is precisely what MC needs to do. He was able to just keep his fourth to the right after a Zergling run-by, but now that that third has been taken out for Sortof, he is in a massive amount of economical problem, but just his standing army is still quite sizable. He's got a good number of queens in order to transfuse those ultras, and MC, as you said, he's relying completely on those immortals at the moment, so this is going to be a bit tough. The DT's doing some nice damage here as well, getting a few good swipes off. Where is the detection? There's only one Overseer, and it's coming over now, and that means that these DTs are going to have to retreat.
Yeah, the DTs are gonna die off. Actually, one of them is gonna get away. Has one kill. Some of the Phoenix are still alive. Wow, that is so cool to see that these Phoenix are still alive. One of them is now gonna die. And these Phoenix don't really do anything for MC, but they give him a lot of scouting information. He knows exactly where the army of Sortof is positioned, and he will be able to strike at points where the army is not positioned. For example, he could send in a few more DTs towards that third base and maybe force them to cancel. The Infestors on the right side of the map, oh, they were caught out of position, and two of them are going to get lived and taken out, and the Zealots are trying to chase a few more of them down. Sortof has very low gas income, and those Infestors are so pristine, they cost so much gas.
They're really gas heavy. The other big thing that the Phoenix did, Lurlian, was they managed to knock out the Overseer. That's stopping the detection, meaning that those DTs can be more effective later on in the game. Oh, the remaining Infestors do get taken out. The final one getting lifted there. A couple of Storms forcing Sortof back, and just look at that Immortal count. 10 Immortals out on the field, up against 9 Ultralists. A whole wave of Stalkers getting warped in towards the third, and ultimately, Sortof, he's got to do some massive damage here. Otherwise, he just won't be able to come back. He's at 45 drones to 70 probes.
Yeah, the economy out of Sortof is really starting to hinder him now. His Zealots are going to catch the Ultralists as they were trying to retreat. The Storms are going down. There's not that many Zerglings in the army composition. The Ultralists get great surface area on the Immortals, so they're actually dying off reasonably fast, but Sortof definitely getting the worst end of this engagement. The Stalkers are still alive in the back. A few more Immortals are standing, and nothing but the Queens now remaining. Sortof down to 70 supply, and he knows it. It is over. He GG's out of the game.